this thing was like seconds from I'm seeing the plane, I hear the loud noise, and then the noise of the plane, the motors, and then boom.
We saw the crash go toward a house, like towards the street, and you know, just like a bunch of flames, like just shot up from the air, then a bunch of black smoke.
Chaos and heartbreak tonight after a small plane crashed into a Santee neighborhood, killing at least 2 people. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee. This tragedy began unfolding at about 12:15 today as the twin-engine plane went down, bursting into flames, destroying 2 homes while neighbors rushed to help. It happened at the intersection of Jeremy and Greencastle streets, just blocks from Santana High School. We have live team coverage tonight from that devastated neighborhood. We begin with News 8's Shannon Handy. Shannon?
Yeah, Marcella, here we are nearly 5 hours after that crash, and you can see behind me this is still a very active scene. You can see the 2 homes this plane crashed into. They are total losses. Vehicles were also damaged, including a UPS truck. Officials have confirmed at least 2 people have died, including the driver of that truck.
For our guys, and we're trying to comb through it.
The call for Monday's plane crash into this Santee neighborhood came in around 12:15 p.m. Fire crews arrived within 6 minutes and found 2 homes up in flames and debris everywhere.
We have 2 that are complete loss, and you can see from behind us, those are the ones that are completely burned that fire crews are still trying to mitigate some of the smoldering ash. And we have an additional 10 homes that have been impacted in some way. A debris field that is almost a block as far as length, and we have parts of the actual airplane strewn across at least 10 homes and into some of the streets.
This picture captured by a neighbor shows the plane going down. Fire officials say it was on its way to Montgomery Field from Yuma when it crashed into 2 homes as well as a UPS truck, killing the driver. The impact so powerful, students at nearby Santana High School 2 blocks away could feel it. This picture was taken from campus.
We're going upstairs to change out of PE, and it crashed, and we felt and heard it pop on someone's house, and we were like, oh my God.
The campus was secured before students were released early for the day. Back at the scene, as firefighters work to put out the flames, others search for victims. Officials have confirmed at least 2 fatalities, including the UPS driver. They have not said who the second person is, though believe anyone on the plane likely did not survive.
We believe that the injuries are non-survivable for anyone that was on that plane.
And the cause of this crash is still under investigation. Teams from the FAA are on their way here to the scene. And something else to add, there's also a gas leak in this area, so crews had to deal with that on top of this investigation. Now, the Santee fire chief tells us that he is confident no one in either of those homes was killed during this crash. And one of those reasons is because of the heroic actions of neighbors in this area. And for more on that part of the story, what witnesses say they saw, let's head over to Steve Price. Steve.
And Shannon, first responders are actually praising the heroic efforts of neighbors out here. Neighbors heard the plane as it was starting to go down. They could tell something was wrong. Then they heard that crash, an explosion, the debris field all over the place. And when they ran outside, they immediately noticed that this house here on the corner was going up in flames. As we move a little farther over, though, you'll notice that there is a window. As luck would have it, the woman inside that house was in that room. Neighbors broke through the window. They were able to grab her, and then they pulled her out of the window. Now, as they were pulling her out of the window, she was screaming that her husband was in the house or outside the house, but in the area, and that her dog was there as well. So they immediately started a search. They heard the husband in the backyard, so they broke down the fence. You can see where they actually pulled away parts of the fence, and they were able to pull the husband out of the backyard. Both the husband and the wife unfortunately had burns, but they are alive. They're at UCSD Hospital where they are recovering and being treated for those burns. Now, another part of this story is that the debris field is huge here, at least a block long. It goes all the way down Greencastle and down another block. And that's where I happened to find the engine of the plane. It was in a gentleman's backyard. In fact, what happened was the engine came through a window into a sunroom in his backyard. He was sitting in the room right next to that. Very fortunate that he wasn't injured as well. But once again, a heroic effort by everybody out here in Santee to make sure their neighbors were safe. The second home that went up in flames, we're told nobody was inside of that home, so no injuries there. So at this point, the 2 confirmed dead, the UPS driver and at least 1 person who was on the plane, but the couple inside this house on the corner, they are at the hospital at this point recovering from some minor burns. I actually just put a call into their son to try and get an update. Excuse me, I haven't heard back from him yet, but we will be sure to pass along that update as soon as we get it. Now, as you can imagine, when this happened around 12:15, there were quite a few people who heard the plane go down. Let's go ahead and send things over now to our Abby Alford, who has more from neighbors and also from UPS regarding that driver who passed away. Abby?
Steve, we are just on the other side of where you are, just north of this plane crash. And I'm going to step out of the way because I want to show you that UPS truck right there and that minivan that you see. That is the coroner. We've seen them peeking inside of the van. We can see that there is a yellow tarp on the other side of it because unfortunately the UPS driver did die in this horrific plane crash. And behind it you can see the home, just pretty much the bones of it that are still standing. The rest has been burned to the ground. Many of these neighbors are still around here, just still talking about what happened today. Many of them hugging each other and reliving what they saw and what they did. Many of their heroic efforts rushing to the home and also to the UPS driver truck to see if they could help. We were first here on the scene and you could see a plume of black smoke billowing through the neighborhood. When we arrived, we found many heroic neighbors. One of them was William Proctor. He says he was working on his car in the driveway when he heard a loud engine sound, noise from above in the sky. He saw the plane plunging down full speed ahead and saw it crash into the UPS truck.
I heard this loud plane and I stopped and looked up, and it was actually coming towards my house. But at the same time, he was in a turn, and he came right over the house behind you and went straight down. I mean, he was full speed and hit the intersection. It was just a loud explosion. I mean, there was a ball of fire probably 200 feet in the air at that. I could feel the heat standing in my driveway 2 houses up.
Proctor describes before the plane crashed, he heard the plane making a loud noise like it was from the engine. Now, the FAA is en route to investigate this plane crash here. Neighbors tell us that right before the crash, they saw the UPS driver wave to him. They say that he was close to retirement.